Hey guys, Greg from CARiD.com, and I am back in the shop with you today, but this time I brought with me a new addition to the CARiD fleet. This is our brand new Chevy Silverado 2500 Midnight Edition, equipped with Chevy's new L5P 6.6 Duramax diesel. And let me tell you guys, this motor packs a punch. Right from the factory, it makes an insane 445 horsepower, 910 pound-feet of torque. But I just can't help myself, and I have to have this thing making over 1,000 pound-feet of torque. I mean, why not? Well, to achieve that, we reached out to our friends over at AFE, and let me show you what they sent us. This right here is AFE's Power Package for all L5P 6.6 Duramax engines. It includes their revolutionary Momentum Air Intake paired with their Scorcher Tune Module. Both parts combined give you an additional 70 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque, and this is exactly what our Duramax needs. Easier breathing and of course some more power to help us cross that 1,000 foot-pound of torque mark. But before we take a closer look at this AFE Momentum Intake, it's worth noting that both the Momentum Intake and the Scorcher Module are available separately. However, to get the best possible performance out of your 6.6, you're going to want to use these two parts in conjunction with each other. But onto the Momentum. Now at first glance, I'm sure you guys are going to agree with me. This is one nice intake. AFE has designed this intake to work in conjunction with Chevy's factory ram air hood, which is equipped on all new Duramax models. It uses this upper inlet and weather stripping to completely seal it into the ram air system. However, to make sure that all available air is at the engine's disposal, AFE also incorporated an auxiliary air inlet right on the side of the airbox. The Momentum's airbox is also designed as one piece, eliminating the standard multi-piece housings that you're used to. So it's going to be super easy to install. But my favorite feature though has to be the built-in sight glass. This makes checking your air filter as easy as just glancing at it, and to me, it also adds a nice aesthetic touch under the hood. Okay, so we have an incredibly sophisticated airbox, but with that, you also need a good filter. Your average auto parts paper filter isn't going to cut it, and that's exactly why AFE uses their Pro 10R round filter. This high-flow air filter pulls air from all 360 degrees, and it uses 10 layers of oiled progressively finer cotton material for maximum filtration and performance. Alright, so we know increased airflow into an engine will without a doubt create more power. But to really capitalize on that airflow and get optimal performance gains, your vehicle needs to have the right computer software. And that's exactly where the Scorcher Module comes into play. Now the Scorcher Module is different from most tuners and programmers. Now, a lot of tuners will plug directly into your vehicle's OBD2 port, rewrite the software to a new program, and the only way to change it back or alter it is to go through the entire programming sequence all over again. Now, the Scorcher, on the other hand, allows you to wire the new module in line with your factory sensors. This allows your Duramax to run on the normal factory tune, and just from the touch of a button from the Scorcher's in-cabin switch panel, you can instantly take it from stock to Sport, Sport Plus, or even full-out race mode. Now, once you do switch into either Sport, Sport Plus, or full race mode, the Scorcher allows your vehicle to run off a completely different program. This new software creates more boost and fuel pressure, and that is what gives you that massive power gain of 70 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. So we're at the point in the video where we answer the obvious questions. How easy is all of this to install? Well, the good news is it's really not that bad, but there are a few things that I want to point out to you guys in this install that might trip you up. First, it's best to install both the intake and the Scorcher Module at the same time, because when you do install the new wiring harness for the Scorcher, it needs to read off both the map sensor and fuel pressure sensor. Now the map sensor is easy, that's right on top of the engine on the intake manifold. Now the fuel pressure sensor, however, is buried towards the bottom of the engine, and you do need to remove the intake tube to access it. So, if you have to take the intake tube out once to access your fuel pressure sensor, you might as well go ahead and install your new intake at the same time rather than doing the job twice. Now, once you have the new wiring harnesses connected to your factory sensors, then it's just a matter of running the new wiring harness neatly throughout the engine bay and then through the firewall. Now, when you are running your wiring through the firewall, the easiest way to do it is to simply follow the factory harness and go through the factory grommet. Then just find a nice place to mount your AFE cabin switch panel and a dry place under the hood for the Scorcher Module. Once all of your wiring is run for the new module, you can now reassemble your intake system with the new Momentum Intake. You're going to want to remove the rest of your intake if you haven't done so already, first by unplugging the mass airflow sensor from the factory airbox, and then removing the entire airbox itself. Once all of that has been removed, you're also going to notice a factory resonator located at the turbo inlet. Now you can leave this on and still install the intake, but AFE does supply you with a new coupler to replace it if you want to remove it. In our case, the last thing we wanted was any more air restriction, so we ripped it right out and installed a new coupler onto the turbo inlet. At this point, all you have to do is swap over the factory mass airflow sensor, some of the factory hardware to the new intake, install the new airbox into the factory location, and then your new intake pipe. Now make sure all of your clamps are tight, and then you're done. So after all that work getting our new AFE Momentum Intake and our Scorcher Module installed, AFE does claim we should see gains of 70 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. Now of course, the proper way to really test this would be on a chassis dyno, but we don't have one. So we're gonna go ahead and take this thing out on the street to see if we really can feel a difference. All right guys, so we have our new Chevy 2500 out on the road with our AFE Momentum Intake and our Scorcher Module. So far, I've been just driving it around in just the regular sport mode, and I gotta tell you, you definitely feel a difference. It's a lot more responsive, I can feel the torque, and you can even hear it in the engine itself. I've already went ahead and tried to use it to just pass around some normal traffic, and it's incredibly responsive. But what I'd really like to do more so than anything else is find a nice straight stretch of road, and we're gonna try this thing in a bone stock tune mode and then the full out race mode to see if we can really tell a difference. All right guys, so I found a nice private straight stretch of road, no dogs, no kids, no pedestrians, no problems. So what we're gonna go ahead and do first is do a nice pull from a dig in just the fully stock mode. So if anything, we're just gonna feel a difference from the Momentum Intake only. Let's see how it does. There we go. Nice pull. Traction control is yelling at me, keeps coming on. Wow. Very, very, very impressive. That felt good. I mean, this new Duramax engine has a lot of torque to begin with right from the factory. So I expected to do that. But I'll be honest, from driving this truck previously till now, I definitely feel a little bit more power just from the intake alone. But let's really find out how fast this thing is and take a pull in full race mode. All right guys, so our baseline pull went very well on our new Chevy 2500. However, this time we're gonna be in full-on race mode. All I have to do to switch it is reach down here to AFE's indoor switch panel, put it into race mode, and then put my foot down and hold on. Lots of tire spin. Traction control's not happy with me. Not at all. Now it hooks up. And this thing is a freaking rocket ship. Good God. I will tell you one thing. If we actually could get traction with this thing, it would be incredibly fast. We are definitely putting bigger tires on this thing a little bit later. But so far the way it is now, I cannot be happy. Well guys, to wrap up this review, I am more than just stoked with our increased performance gains in our Chevy 2500. These two mods were the perfect pieces to really open up some power out of our Duramax. So if you're a Duramax owner or just a diesel truck owner, head over to CARiD.com to see what AFE offers for your truck. As for me, well, I'm gonna hop back in the driver's seat of this thing. Thanks for checking out this video, and as always, I will see you guys next time in the garage.